that's something that's still with me today. If I start to feel like out of my body or not centered, struggling to connect with somebody, I literally will look down at my feet and it's like, okay, here's where my feet are. And then I kind of come up, grow out, go out. Okay, here's where I am. I'm good.
Hi, I'm Laine, and welcome to Laine's Domain, where we deconstruct the game of life one player at a time. I'm really excited to present today's show, which takes a different turn from our usual interviews. It's a deep and intimate conversation with a very dear friend, Shannon. The topics we dip into include matters of life and death, the rewards of present moment awareness, Shannon's big adventures as a registered gambler with the IRS in the field of horse race handicapping and betting, both the highs and the lows, and the trauma involved in spiritual warfare. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as we did. Well, Shannon, it is so great to see you here today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
So, Shannon, it's my understanding that you grew up in a family business that was into death care. That's what I call it. It's funeral business or whatever. And you've come full circle. Not that you're that old, but you've come full circle in your life now, and you're back in the death care business. And in your life, you've had a lot of close calls and twists and turns in your life. I would love to explore some of those twists and turns if you are willing to share them.
Thanks, Laine. I really appreciate you asking me to be here. It's definitely an honor. You and I have had some amazing conversations, and I've always just felt really, really comfortable um, talking about some things that tend to be vulnerable or tend to be quite personal, things that I don't necessarily talk to others about. And so, having the opportunity to talk a little bit, not just about the industry in which I work and in which I grew up, but how my experience over the years, in a number of different ways, plays into how I handle and how I deal with families today. My parents owned a privately single owned funeral home when I grew up, and my dad was actually the funeral director and handled that aspect of the business. My mom handled everything really kind of happening in the office. And eventually she got her master's in social work and became an LCSW. And she started working in the community and developing grief groups. And that was my first experience in understanding really the emotional part of this industry, which has become known as death care or end of life care. And the importance of helping families to grieve, not just after the person has passed, but prior to that, has become more and more a piece that communities and industry and therapists and hospice workers and doctors and palliative care entities are all really looking at more and more. How do we care for the whole family and the whole person as their life is ending? Which is really, it's fascinating to me how differently people handle that. I have the opportunity to meet with families who are looking to pre-plan, to sort of, if you will, set it and forget it, get everything done and then go and live their lives and not have to worry about what's going to happen when they pass, and when they pass, and it's just all taken care of. And that's a great thing, because it really, it doesn't necessarily take care of things. So if it were you or I planning for our own inevitable death, because I don't know about you, but none of it, as far as I know, none of us is getting out of this alive.
So true. So true.
So planning for that, it's not so much for me. It's going to be for my kids, for my husband, so that when that time comes and they are dealing with the emotional pain of losing this fabulous person that is me. I'm
She is
kidding.
fabulous. That is no doubt about
I'm
that.
kidding. I'm kidding. But the reality is that no matter what our impact in the world is, there's at least one or two or three people that we're incredibly important to. My dad has this. He's so funny. He collects these things, and they're long retired and living in Florida now. And my dad collects these different things that he has framed. And one of them says, "To the world, you may just be one person, but to one person, you may be the world."
Oh my God, is that
And
beautiful?
I know. Okay, I didn't cry.
Oh my God.
I
That's so.
know, but when I think about my children, and I don't care how old they are, the last thing I would ever want them to have to do is, on the day that they're dealing with losing their mother, have to make decisions about what to do with me. Does she want to be buried? Does she want to be cremated? Does she want to be in a mausoleum? Does she want to be in the ground? Do you want to spread the ashes? Do you want to have a place for memorial? What do we do if we spread them somewhere? Then where do we go and visit her? Where do we go and have that memorial? And so all of those things are things that in the pre-planning process we can take care of. And it means then, from my perspective and how I communicate this to clients, it then means that your family can get about the business of grieving, which is hard enough all by itself. What I tell families is grief is going to take time. I can't tell you how long it's going to be for you. It's not going to be linear. It's going to be up and down and curly Q, and it's going to smack you right between the eyes when you least expect it. So give yourself grace. Our desire to live longer has to have something to do with our fear of the quality of the life we have in the moment. And, for myself, over the years, I mean, you and I have talked about this, and I'm in recovery from alcoholism and drug addiction. And that has been a journey for me since I was 19 years old. And it has not always been easy. It has not been consistent. But it has been the course through which I have been able to search for the meaning, and where is the meaning in my life? And I think we all, to one degree or another, look for that. For me, all of that searching, all of that desire to understand why has kind of come to a place today where I want to know, when I get up in the morning, that I'm living in my God's will, and that I am making the most of every minute of today. Because if this is the last one, did I do everything I wanted to do today? Did I look at you, Laine, my friend, and say, I am so honored that you are part of my life and I love you? Do I reach out to my children, to my parents, to my sister, to my friends? Do I look my husband in the eye every single day and say, you are the best part of my life? And I do today. I didn't always. I don't think a lot of us do, because we don't think, we always think there's tomorrow. Oh, I don't have to do it today. I'll just do it tomorrow. I'd rather leave the dishes for tomorrow. Thank you.
So being in the death care business has helped you to realize that you might not be here tomorrow, and and therefore you're remembering all of those things to be grateful for and to say to people. And I mean,
I
is
think
that
I think it gives me a perspective that a lot of people don't have. Yeah, to be grateful for everything that I have today.
that's so aware? I mean, you're in such a state of awareness to be able to remember those things every day, and to know, I've heard of the Buddhists. The Buddhists have this cup on the side of their bed, and they always turn it upside down before they go to sleep, just to empty everything out, right?
Mm-hmm.
In case they die that night, they've done everything
You
that
bet.
they and the other thing is that I used to be a spiritual care volunteer for hospice. And one of the things that I asked people, which was just one, I talked to them about many things, was, you know, do you have any regrets of the things that you didn't do that you wanted to? And oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. Um, Sorry. It always gets me. It's not the dying part isn't what makes me cry. It's the gift of the awareness and being part of the living.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, thank you. Thanks to the universe. Thank you to God. Thank you to all of the things that I hold dear. Thank you for giving me the awareness
Mm.
and understanding that this is but a blip on the screen of time. My time here, your time here. It goes like that.
Oh my God. And as we get older, as I get older, I notice how time compresses, and we're always going, time is flying, time is flying. But I mean, flying is not even the word for it now. It's like
No,
warp speed.
it's October 4th.
I cannot even believe that. I know.
Didn't we just celebrate New Year's? I swear
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah, yeah, New Year's, exactly. I mean, it's so that's why I think that this is really important to discuss about how we're talking about this today, because every single moment I realize that when I'm in the now, when I'm in the present moment, I'm not worrying about what I did in the past, or stressing over the future. I have a lot more time available to me.
Mm,
I think it's when we're out of the
100%.
moment, it's gone, it's gone so fast.
I years ago, um, well, let's see, I just turned 18 years sober this time around. And
Congratulations.
thank you. Um, and I was probably 3 years sober, had just moved to Denver from Los Angeles. And New Year's came around and everybody was talking about their New Year's resolutions. I said, you know what? I'm not making resolutions anymore. They're like, you go on with your bad self, right? And I said, no, 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 hear me out. I don't want to make resolutions. I want to have a focus for the year. So I'm going to choose a word or a phrase that will be my focus for this year. And I've had crazy stuff at different times. But one of the most significant ones was about 5 years ago. And my phrase was, be where your feet are.
Mm.
I kept, to your point of what you were saying, I kept finding myself in the car driving somewhere and being completely unconscious of having gotten there because I was so wrapped up in my head with all this other stuff. Um, or being at home and thinking about all the things that needed to happen at the office, or being at work and thinking about all the things that I should have worked at home that day so that then I could do those things at the same time. And it was like, no, 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 no. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to take a big step back, and I am going to focus on being right exactly where my feet are. So if my feet are in my office, that's where I'm going to be. In my office, focused on work. Everything at home can wait until my feet are there. And it was for the first probably 3 or 4 months. I mean, it was laborious. I literally had to go, okay, feet, where are my feet?
Feet don't fail me now.
Feet don't fail me now. And, okay, my feet are in my car. All right, I'm driving. I should be aware of everything that's around me while I'm driving, right? Don't have an accident. Being in that moment, because if I was where my feet were, then I was in the moment. And it was like the end of February, first part of March, when COVID hit. And I had absolutely, talk about be where your feet are. It's like my feet were home all the time. But I had to then get even more delineated in that, because I had one room in the house that was my office, and everything was done by Zoom, like everybody else. And so I would go downstairs in the morning with my coffee, and I'd walk. As I crossed the threshold into that office, I would say, okay, we're at work now, feet.
Brilliant.
And it just, that's something that's still with me today. If I start to feel like out of my body, or not centered, struggling to connect with somebody, I literally will look down at my feet, and it's like, okay, here's where my feet are, and then I kind of come up, grow out, go out. Okay, here's where I am. I'm good.
Wow. You have found something that really works for you. I love that. It's interesting because I'd heard somebody else said to me once, the best way to, and it has to do with your feet too, to stay present, is feel your feet. So with your mind's eye, feel your toes,
Yeah.
feel that. Yeah. Yeah. You're like,
Whenever you in your mind's eye, you're like,
that will certainly bring whoever you're with into the present moment as they're watching you go into Looneyville.
why are your eyes in the back of your head? I'm thinking,
Where my feet are at is where I'm gonna be. 'Cause being in the present is the thing that sets me free. If you don't believe me, bring your tootsies to mine and watch your stress and worries get left behind. I'm in the now. I'm in the now.
my mother's sister, who had lived for years in New York City, was a Buddhist monk at one point and had been Buddhist for a long time. And she became a really important part of my life.
Hmm.
And I spent a lot of time with her, but I learned a lot about Buddhist tradition. She taught me how to sit zazen, how to sit in meditation, quiet meditation, to learn how to to sit quietly with everything. And there are just so many wonderful things that I learned from her. But learning about when she said to me that the most basic part of the Buddhist belief is that all life is suffering, that it's in varying degrees. How much we suffer is within our control. It's how much we choose to buy into the weight that whatever that thing has.
Mhm.
So it's always kind of been one of those things that plagues me, but I think it helps me today, um, especially sitting with families that don't know how to embrace their grief,
Mhm.
who come into my office and sit down and start to cry, and then are apologizing for their tears. And to kind of come back to where we started. um, Being able, for me today, being able to hold space for people that are in grief, or in pain emotionally, or struggling with facing their own mortality.
Mhm.
Just being able to have my office, the space that I'm in with them, be somewhere that it's okay for them to feel whatever it is that they're feeling, is such a gift. And that really goes back to the things that I learned working with my Aunt Sue.
Let me ask you a question. This kind of goes off this topic, but I loved it, and I'm wondering if you would be willing to share your time in the horse betting arena.
Oh boy,
Oh my God, that's so cool.
being a registered gambler,
Yes.
I had been riding American Saddlebred show horses for about 4 years at that point, and was pretty involved around Churchill and involved in the Backside Project. And so, in putting this whole thing together, I met my son's father. He was one of the speakers, and you talk about energy and connection, and it was we had kind of this electric connection, and we ended up getting married, and I ended up getting pregnant and living in married in LA, and he trained racehorses. So my life changed very drastically, and started living, the racetracker life. So, and the bigger I got as I was pregnant, the less people who were handicappers and big money bettors, they didn't. It's like the bigger I got, the less they noticed me. And I watched what handicapping looked like, so I learned how to handicap the races, and I learned how to listen to the guys who were touting different horses and sort of where to be, when, the right kind of places to be lingering and listening and having coffee and get all the inside information. And, I was young, I was pretty, I was pregnant, and I started kind of putting the word out for some of the more wealthy owners that if they wanted to utilize my services to place their bets, then they could. And so I was very quietly running large bets for horse owners and doing my own handicapping. And so for 3 years, I was a registered gambler with the IRS.
Wow. And how did you do? Were you good?
I actually did pretty okay. But I also, I here's the thing: the gambling industry, from an addiction standpoint, a gambling addiction is, because it's a process addiction rather than a substance addiction,
Mm.
is incredibly difficult to treat.
Mm.
A lot of therapists will not treat gamblers, will not work with gamblers because the rate of recidivism is so high. They
Mm.
think, oh, I just need to hit that one. I just need one race, just one, or I just need to hit one slot, or I just need to roll one dice. That's all it's going to take. And I watched people gamble away they take second mortgages on their homes and gamble it away because they're chasing it. And it's very painful to watch
Mm.
that part of it.
But so let me ask you, did you find yourself addicted to it?
No, I watched a man, guy named. I probably sat at tables with mobsters and
Woo.
didn't even know it. I'm like, oh, little Nebraska girl, just wide eyed, and
Wow.
um, was a gambler. That's all he did, and um, he was rough around the edges, and he was also a sweetheart,
Mm.
and he was always kind to me, and he talked incessantly, and that's part of the problem. He hit the pick six, and 3 days later, his house was invaded, and the money was stolen, and he was murdered.
Oh my God. Wow.
And I realized that the reality of that industry, um, that's part of the reality. You know, there's a part of it that is champagne and the turf club and big money and people having a great time and all the stuff you see on Derby Day with the beautiful outfits and the big hats and the roses and all the pomp and circumstance. And that's a beautiful part of the horse racing industry.
Mm,
The horses are extraordinary. The animals themselves are beyond powerful.
mm,
They have ginormous hearts. I love, love, love those horses. But they also live a life that is not what I today believe is the life a horse should live,
mm,
which is roaming free, running free in pastures. And but it's an industry of black and white,
mm,
a lot of gray, and
mm,
but the dichotomy of the haves and the have-nots, and the wonderful parts and the horrible parts
mm.
in that industry, it took its toll.
So what do you walk away from that experience with? What growth, what words of wisdom to yourself, um, or change of lifestyle do you have having had that experience?
I think I got to see and learn. We were talking about shadow work.
Mhm.
It's definitely a place where I was able to notice and recognize my own shadow.
Mhm.
Not that I knew it at the time, but when I started doing that shadow work in January this year, it definitely is something that now that in looking at it in retrospect, where I started to recognize what that looked like.
Mhm. So have you met your shadow?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Several of a lot of it. Yeah, I mean, there's different aspects of it. It I, you and I discussed in November of last year. I had what I would consider a breakdown,
Mm,
um, and the realization that in the middle of the night, waking up, that a memory came back, and it was one that it nearly broke me. Um, I'd had a realization, I'd suppressed it deeply, and had the realization that I had been victimized in a satanic ritual abuse
mm,
20 years ago.
mm,
And the process of dealing with that trauma, I spent almost a month in Colorado um, at a place for women that specifically deals with trauma response
mm,
and treatment.
mm,
And they were able to help me navigate that memory and that experience, and to get out from underneath it.
mm,
Um, yeah, a place called Four Winds Farm, uh, and I credit them with saving my life.
mm. Were you at a point where you felt like ending your life?
No, no. Um, I've laughingly over the years said, um, I am not suicidal. I've never been suicidal. Homicidal, maybe,
There you go.
not suicidal. but what happened was I found myself going to bed at night and saying, literally laying here in tears, saying, God, if you really love me, you will let me not wake up. I can't live like this. I can't live with this anymore. I can't live with this anymore. Um, the experience that I'd had, I came to find out, is referred to as soul sewing. And I don't go into details about that, but it's it's a process by which the perpetrators look to leech spiritual energy from someone over a period of their lifetime. And and so there was an energetic or spiritual connection. And when I say spiritual, I don't mean heavenly. I mean other realm, spiritual realm connection that had been made 20 years before. And it became, in the process of going through that, it became very clear to me that at different points in my life, when I felt like I was being, like my energy, the energy in my body was being sucked out of me, it literally was.
So you already felt that, but you didn't know what it was? It was just...
No, it's like, oh, I just feel so drained. You think it's just kind of a normal thing. I've been working too hard, or I've been going, running 8 ways to Sunday, and I just feel drained. It was much more than that, because no amount of sleep would ever put me in a position of not feeling drained.
Wow.
And that has been a revelation that has occurred since I was there in January, and learning how, managing to sever that energetic connection, and learning how I have been impacted all of these years, and how different it is now. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's just crazy. But it's interesting, because when I talked with the owner at Four Winds, was making arrangements, I was referred to them and was talking with them about what was going on, and what I was dealing with. And she said that she had worked with women before who had been part of that, and since then I have done a lot of reading. I am a voracious reader, so I'm either listening to a book, or I'm reading a book, or I'm listening to a book and reading a book. Just ridiculous. But I started looking into and reading some different accounts of women who have come forward, and some men. It's fewer men. I have been much more interested in women's experience with satanic ritual abuse. But it's astounding to me, when people talk about sex trafficking, and the trafficking of humans is happening for so many different reasons, and it's not just sex. There is an undercurrent and for lack of a better term, an underworld of people who, at a very base level, are preying upon other humans in sacrificial ways to evil. And that's part of where people who are being trafficked, women in particular who are being trafficked, children who are being trafficked, are ending up either in the hands of somebody who's going to take advantage of them sexually, or is going to take advantage of them spiritually and energetically, through those types of experiences. And there have been several people come out with books talking about very high profile, internationally high profile people who have been part of their experience with that, either as victims or as someone who has been brought into that lifestyle from the time they were very, very small, victimized initially, and then ingratiated into becoming the perpetrators and victimizing others. And so it's a whole other part of our subculture in today's society that I think people willfully are unaware of. So definitely worth taking a look at and researching
Oh,
and
absolutely.
understanding more. But it was in that work where I wouldn't say that I had necessarily what is referred to as a dark night of the soul. But I definitely saw, I have seen evil, my own evil and my own shadow,
Mm.
and know what, as a human, as an animal, I would be willing to do to never have to experience that again.
Mm. Mm. So you've been to the depths and you've come out from the depths. I mean, I haven't found anybody yet who hasn't experienced a great trauma that's in a space of such light that you are in today. I mean, we accept our shadow selves. I mean, they are who we are. We all have light and we all have darkness. But if we try to repress that darkness, it comes out in some very bad ways, I would say.
Absolutely, it can. And the other thing that people don't realize, that shadow part, that dark part of ourselves. There was a time before I got sober, when I was living in Los Angeles, that some people refer to it as character defects or shadow or all of these things, and there are parts of myself that don't serve me today. There's no part of that serves a purpose in my life today. But at that time in my life, it kept me from getting killed. It kept me safe. It was street smarts. It was a toughness. It was a smart mouth. It was a lot of different things. An absolute refusal to be a victim. Throwing my middle finger up at the world and everybody else, that allowed me to separate myself from the environment that I was in and survive. And but the beauty of my life today is that I'm not in survival mode.
Right. You don't
You
need it
know,
anymore. You don't need
I
it.
don't. It doesn't serve me.
Right.
But to deny that, to say that it's bad, if I travel to New York, if we go to New York to see a game and we're somewhere and something happens that can happen in a big city, I can pull on those reserves. That shadow is there for me.
Yep.
If I ever need her. I just don't need her most of the time these days.
That all for a purpose. Every part of us, all for a purpose. We pull it out when we need it. We put it away when we don't need it. But at least you know it. That's the thing about the people that won't look at that. Though those are the people that, it leaks, and they treat other people poorly. So I love that you've gone through all these processes. You've learned so much about yourself. So, all right, let me get to your words of wisdom. I would like if you would share how to live with grace. How would you advise people? How do you living with grace? I love that phrase.
I think living with grace starts by slowing down enough to know who you are, asking the hard questions, looking at all of the ugly parts of yourself and finding a way to love them, knowing that it doesn't have to be the first foot you put forward. The ugly parts of me don't have to enter the room first, but they are part of me. And acknowledging those and learning about those parts of me and why they're there and what what those parts of me developed to do, and then realizing that while they're part of me, it's not all of me. um, but really getting to know yourself, and there's a bigger purpose here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us and for being here today. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.